Because you talked to me about the 18 months that you spent prior to that then intensive 7-8 week period. But what are they now doing?
Well, I did an 18-month basic course, bit of work experience, another course. The basic course now for bomb disposal operators is going to be about 16 weeks.
Why so short, relatively speaking? Is it money saving, or what is it?
I think the only honest reason is because we haven't invested in the last 5 years or 10 years. I've been involved in this area for about 7 or 8 years, and in all of that time we haven't invested in the right numbers of people. Now, as a consequence of that, we're having to shorten a course, get more people on it and more people through it to fill the gaps that we have in Afghanistan, because there aren't enough. I was an ammunition technical officer. There aren't enough ATOs, so we're having to train people on this defence EOD, explosive ordnance disposal operators course, to fill a gap that was caused by lack of investment.
And because they're not getting the amount of training, by the way, the MOD would dispute what you're saying. They say on training, ammunition technical officers, ATOs, are highly trained experts in their field, but not every one of these go on to become explosive ordnance disposal and will be deployed in Afghanistan. There are absolutely, they say, no shortcuts, and service personnel receive the training they require to do the jobs asked of them.
Well, I think their first point is really interesting, to say that not even all the ATOs who've done this 18-month course go on to be what's called a high-threat operator. And that's generally not through choice. For instance, of the 14 ATOs on my high-threat course, 2 of us passed. So what I would say is, if only 2 of 14 ATOs can pass this course, with all that basic training, the chance of getting significant numbers of people with much less training through the same standard of course is minimal. So I accept their point, but I don't think it strengthens their argument. I think it strengthens mine.
So where does it leave those people that have got that shorter course?
Well, in my view, they're all brave, professional people who want to do it for the right reasons. But I think we could be doing much more to support them. I think take people from all over the armed services.
Are they vulnerable?
Well, I think they're more vulnerable than I was. So I'd say take these applicants, make sure they're of the right quality, give them the right training, and that could be, it could be the course I did, or perhaps it could be slightly modified, and then let them deploy, and then let them do the job they want to do.
Tell me this, Kevin, what do you do for a living when you come back home and your speciality is disarming bombs? Like, how can you find anything that you're trained to do?
Well, generally, people who have spent a career disarming bombs go into disarming bombs as civilians, whether that be training people or in commercial areas. I'm actually unemployed, so I'm not the best person to answer that question.
Are you seeking work?
I am going to seek work, but I've got a 7-week-old boy who I'd love to spend 6 months at home with before.
See, now there's a smile on your face.
Yeah, that's the thing to smile about. I'll take 6 months at home with him, then I'll dust off the CV, I think.
And have you any idea what you'd like to do?
I'd love to stay in and around this area. I'm so passionate about bomb disposal. I've got no desire at all to don that suit again and walk down that road again. But I'd love to help train people, or I'd love to advise people, or anything that can help, frankly, especially with these people with less training than I had, anything that can help British soldiers save their own, and in this case, Afghani lives, would be great.
It's a fascinating story you've told tonight, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. It just strikes me that there are many stories and many aspects within your story tonight, because there is one of us learning about how equipped our soldiers are. There's another about bomb disposal and what people like you are actually doing for this country when you're out there. But there's the other element which needs a lot of scrutiny, is post-traumatic stress disorder, and how we tackle it in this country. I've dealt in the recent past with a lot of former police officers in Northern Ireland. They were RUC officers, Royal Ulster Constabulary, now the PSNI, and some of those people were unable to function and were getting absolutely no help. And PTSD is often not recognised enough.
Absolutely, and the MOD would say that 4% of people returning from Afghanistan suffer from PTSD. Their own figures suggest that 7% of people in combat units suffer from PTSD. But my argument is that people in really high-risk groups, bomb disposal is one, but infantry regiments are another. I think that the number is far higher than 7%. And I think unless we're really honest about that number, there's no chance of providing enough resources to really help these people deal with it afterwards. And I find this even more frustrating because I know that the treatment works. I've benefited from it.
There's only one other question in my head, and it says, you talked about your 7-week-old child. Boy?
A boy, yeah.
If he had been born before you were disarming bombs, would you have done it? Is there now such a reason as a dad that the risk wouldn't be tolerable?
I don't think I'd have made the same choice if I had a son. Absolutely not. I don't think I'd have made the same choice if I had a wife either. But I had all the energy and enthusiasm of a 19-year-old army officer, which is what I was. And I think certainly I found being a father and a husband gives me a very, very different perspective on life.
I can see the way you were looking there. You hadn't thought about that before.
No, I hadn't thought about that.
But isn't it lovely and isn't it special that your wife and your son is a reason?
Yeah, it is. And I, to try and answer that question, I thought it would be incredibly difficult to look in my son's eyes and then close the door and walk away for 6 months. And I don't think I could do that.
Kevin, thank you so much for talking to us tonight. Thank you
very much.